if you want to homestead, there's something that you can do now. So when I come outside and I look at this, I hear the birds and I feel the sun on my face, and I look around at my surroundings and I'm just like, look at this. When I look around and I feel gratitude for what I have, it's not, you know, I'm not looking at the piles of junk, I'm not looking at the unfinished projects, I'm not looking at the overwhelming things that I could fill my mind with. I'm looking at what I have and having gratitude that I took that chance. Back when I thought that things were impossible, I never took chances. I believed in my doubts about homesteading, and so we lived in this little house for 10 years because we didn't have that faith yet. We didn't know what we were doing yet, so we waited, and maybe we could do it then, and maybe we don't have enough property yet, so we can't homestead for this reason. You know, if you want to homestead, there's something that you can do now. Don't say, first I have to have this before I homestead, because I was just looking at my brother, he lives in an apartment. I was looking at his patio. It's probably, I would say it's 10 by 15 feet. And I was talking to Trent and I was like, oh, can you imagine how many vegetables he could grow? And he may not want to grow vegetables at all, and that's up to him. But if he did, and he was thinking, you know, kind of how Trent and I were when we lived in town, we used the excuse all the time, well, you know, we don't have any property, so we're not real homesteaders, and we can't do this, you know, that and the other thing. But I mean, just like, if you want it bad enough, you can do it. You can create your reality. When you believe that you can achieve it, then it immediately becomes true as soon as you believe it. And so take these thoughts and these beliefs in your heart and your mind, and all these plans, like someday I'm gonna have a cow, someday we're gonna raise our own, you know, eggs. These dreams and these thoughts are awesome, but if they don't fuel action, then you're going to be just like Trent and I. We spent 10 years dreaming, and almost to the point where we had to bury our dreams because it hurt so bad that they weren't coming true. But the reason they weren't coming true is because they weren't coming true because we weren't taking actions. We were dreaming, and then those dreams weren't coming true. And we were like, oh, this dream isn't true. You know, we don't have acreage. We don't have a milk cow. We don't have pigs. We don't have enough land to grow, what would you say, a wheat or something. And so we'd see these failures and we would check them off on our list of like, we can't do it. We don't know what we're doing. And yeah, nobody really knows what they're doing, but does that stop them? I was just reading an article about, I was just reading about Justin Rhodes. He's like the chicken whisperer. If you guys who are in the YouTube world of homesteading, you'll know who he is. He did not know anything about chickens, but he got some chickens. A neighbor came up and gave him some chickens for free, I think, and he failed. I think like all of them died. And so first of all, he said yes, he took the chickens. So that was a big risk, since technically he didn't know anything. And second of all, he failed. And he didn't let it stop him. He tried again and again, and he just like, you know, was a sponge, obviously, because he's like the guru of chickens. He wrote, you know, he made this video about permaculture chickens, and he, you know, sells it as like an e-course or something. So he did not let it stop him. And so I think that's the thing, is we have to let our dreams stir in us instead of burying them. Because I think when Trent and I lived in town, we kind of stopped dreaming because it hurt, because we would see that our dreams weren't coming true. And so we believed that they could never come true in a way, and so we just kind of quit dreaming. And it was I think a lot of people have conditioned themselves to do that in this world because it's just not normal to go out and do those things that are just a little bit risky or a lot bit risky. So I think that we just have to act. Just do something, and don't let the things that are out of your control right now control or prevent you from taking some kind of action today. Go and buy some potting soil, plant a seed, stick it in your window. It doesn't matter where you live, you can do that, you know. And I think you can have chickens in so many places now. My sister-in-law, I think she signed some kind of petition, and she made it so that, well, not her alone, but she and her friends in her community got it so that it was legal within her city limits to have chickens. And so you can do so many things. You can take action. Control your life and fulfill your dreams. And for me, that's homesteading and having art in my life. But for you, it might be something else. Well, what is it that's in your heart that aches and hurts, that you kind of want to bury because you feel it's impossible? Take that dream and do something right now. Something that is in your control. And just do that every day. You can do it. You can do this, and it doesn't matter that you don't know what you're doing per se, because how else are you going to learn? I think there's this eternal student phase that people might never get out of. I think that people are like, well, if I just learn, I need to learn how to build a chicken coop, and I need to learn how this and you're never going to. At least that's how I'm an immersion learner. Okay, I learn a ton, and when I'm obsessed with something, I just get online and I research it and I learn a lot. But then it gets to this point where I just do it, and usually I still don't know what I'm doing. When I take action, I'm usually still in the novice stage, and then even still, I'm in the novice stage right now. I am not an expert. There's always somebody out there who's going to know more than you. There's always going to be somebody out there that knows more than me. So if you're on my vlog trying to be like, I need an expert advice, I don't know that I'm the person, right? But I know the best about how to do things my way. Which is to just jump in almost blindly, because that, to us, if we wait, if we think about like, well, let's be realistic here. If we ever if we ever use that phrase, okay, well, let's be realistic here for a second. That almost always is a negative thought, and it almost always stops us in our tracks and makes us not take action and not fulfill dreams. And so, in a way, not always do we like, don't ever think about it, just do it. Think about it, right? You don't want to destroy your life by not thinking things through. But don't overthink it. Just do something, you know, today to fulfill your dream, whether it's homesteading or art or entrepreneurship, which are all things that we feel very strongly about. Just do something, you know, and you don't have to really know everything about it before you take action. And you'll be surprised at where it can take you, and it can lead you to this amazing life that you believed was impossible. And that is what I'm gonna get really emotional about, because we believed that it was impossible, and so we are in awe when we come out here in our junk pile and we see this life that we have and how it's our dreams. And so even though they're not here yet, we don't have a finished house, we don't have a beautiful property yet, you know, there's always that yet, and that yet is what keeps us alive, and that look where we've been. Because if I think, you know, we lived, sorry, this ice, it's kind of loud. I'm gonna go over here. We lived on this tiny property, and it had huge trees, and we lived in this amazing house that was finished, and it was, I mean, we had everything to be grateful for, and we were. but we couldn't stop that dream in our hearts, and so that's what brought us here. And you look around, and if you use the certain kind of glasses or the wrong eye, you'll see mess after mess and mistake after mistake and just kind of catastrophe, if you really want to be like negative and realistic, you know. But what we come out here and what we see is possibility, opportunity, and dreams that are coming true way more than they were in that little house that was already built, and that it was already landscaped, and it was great. It was an awesome life. But here is the possibility to have those other dreams that we believed were impossible. And technically you could say, okay, well, then that means that I need to have property to make my dreams come true. That's not true. When we lived in that house, we dragged our feet for the longest time, but we built a garden and we planted flowers. Okay, let me tell you something. And maybe, I think I already mentioned this in one of my like super old videos, but I didn't plant flowers. I've always been a lover of flowers. I would look at my mom's, is that chicken too loud? Okay, I'm gonna come over here. I would look at my mom's flower catalogs when I was a kid, and just flowers have always been something that I wanted. And I would look at our yard and I'd be like, ugh, this stupid yard, I don't even want to live here. I'm never gonna have this yard that I want. But and because of those negative thoughts of, you know, being dissatisfied with what I had around me, I never took action. I never planted flower seeds until I had lived there for 10 years. So right before we moved here is when I finally was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna plant the seeds or whatever. And I grew the coolest, at least for me, the awesomest garden I had ever grown. And it was magical. It was like a paradise. But it was my lack of faith, I guess, and my not taking action that prevented me from having that, because I could have had it for 10 years. I could have had this gorgeous flower garden and bloomed where I was planted. And then when we finally did, we ended up moving, and I wonder, how is that a correlation or not? I think it's totally related. Once we realized that we could have happiness where we're at this stage, take control of what we can control, and we did, and we made it. We grew like a food forest. We had all these trees, and we had all these raspberries and cherries, and we had chickens in that house, and we grew some corn really badly, and we did it with what we had. And I don't think that that's not related to the fact that now we have more. So we took that baby step, we grew where we were planted, we took action, even though we didn't have everything perfect in our lives yet. And is there really ever a stage where you will? I don't know. I think growth is perfection. If you're not growing, so growing means there's room for improvement. That means it's not perfect. And so a goal for perfection is awesome, because otherwise you're not going to try. So make those goals. Think about what your perfect life is, but then after that, you've got to act. And I'm preaching because I'm emotional about it, not because I'm trying to be like being an expert. I would say that I'm not an expert in fulfilling your dreams, because I'm not you. You're an expert in fulfilling your dreams. So there's that. But so that's my little comment on life. That's something that we think about every day. We come out here and we're like, I can't believe it. It's so amazing that we have what we have, because it was impossible at one point, and we changed it. And how awesome and how grateful I am that we can have what we have, and that we came around to changing it. And so yeah, go out there and change your life too. All this broccoli!